There are 10.5 million curriculum reviews, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how I use Saxon Math. This is the math that one of my kiddos is using this year and used it last year, and it seems to work really well. The best math curriculum is the one that works best for your kiddo. So if you have a kiddo who's really into videos and they want to be able to do things in their head, Beast Academy might be the best option. If your kid really needs hands-on manipulative, Math-U-See might be a good option. I have a kiddo who really likes working in books and writing things down, and so we've chosen Saxon Math after a few reviews, and I wanted to walk you through how we use it and give you a little bit of a bigger glimpse on the inside of the book, which is what I'm always looking for curriculum. We like Saxon Math because each lesson is bite-sized, and this is how we use it. So the first thing is my kiddo uses Nicole the Math Lady. You can find her website at NicoleTheMathLady.com. She has lots of videos, even things like brain breaks, that kind of thing. But she walks through the lesson. It's a short, 5-minute lesson that kind of explains the topic. And then you can dive into the book itself. So I'm going to open up here to a lesson, pull off my little sticky note and go to the front of this lesson. So after watching the video, my kid will then review the lesson. So they do start with a sometimes my kid chooses to do that and sometimes they don't. But then because he's watched the lesson, when we're introducing the new concept here in the textbook, he is understanding a little bit better about how these parts are moving together. So the video pairs nicely with the way that they write the lesson. While they do a pretty good job at explaining things, he's just more video oriented in that way. And you can see that it kind of walks through the lesson fairly well, gives, graphs and different examples on how it's done. Sometimes there's a lesson that this is how you do it with multiplication, or this is how you do it with division, and it shows you each of those different ways to do it. That can throw my kiddo off if they get something in the practice that's done totally different. After the lesson, you can move on to a lesson practice. So this just kind of reviews the topic that you were given. So it's just generally pretty short, like 3 to 5 questions that are about the lesson itself, just to practice the concept. Then that moves into a mixed practice. And there are a couple things I like about the mixed practice. First, they give you a lot of options. So you can see that we actually have questions here, and they're pulling from prior concepts. So the material spirals on itself so that you can kind of not lose the skills that you just learned. But one thing that I really love about the lesson practice is that it actually tells you where you learned this concept. So here you can see for question 4, there's a little 13 in parentheses. So that means that this question, if you don't remember how to do it, if you go back to lesson 13, you're going to find where you learned this information. And that can help refresh your memory about how to do this work. So my kiddo, the way that we do this is my son watches Nicole the Math Lady, then he reads the lesson and learns the new concept, then he does the lesson practice. Now, sometimes he may pause there and have me double check the lesson practice, or he may move on. I give him a lot of flexibility on how he works these. The mixed practice he does as well, but he does not do all of them. So prior to the lesson, I circle the concepts that I think he needs to review. For example, this question down here, I know that he's got this skill mastered and we don't do busy work. So I'm not going to circle that one, but I might want him to practice these word problems. And so I might circle 1 and 2, but then I'd skip over to the back of the page and look at ones here that he might need to review. These find each missing number, he's got that skill mastered. So I'm not going to have him do any of those. I'm just going to circle ones of the skills that I think he might need to visit. When he's done and he's finished them all, he'll hand me the book and I'll review it. They give you a solutions manual. It's pretty hefty because it not just gives you the answer, it often will explain how it got there. So for example, here it's giving you how it's calculating the area here. And it's a pretty simple solutions manual, looks like most solutions manual you've seen. So you just find the lesson and you go through, and they give you the answers for the warm-up and the practices. So you have all of the solutions here if you want to work through something or if your kiddo doesn't understand. Now, my kid does not like to be told that he's wrong. That causes him a little bit of anxiety. So I actually, when I come through these, I will just highlight the ones that are wrong. And I don't say that they're wrong. I just say he needs to revisit those. That's because he doesn't like seeing red. I just use a little highlighter and I highlight it yellow. And then I hand the book back to him for him to give it another try. He'll revisit those problems and kind of kind of see if he can figure out where he went wrong. Again, not using the word wrong because he does not like that. But then he'll give it back to me. And if he gets it wrong again, after I review them again, that's when I reteach the lesson. He likes being able to give it a couple of tries before I reteach. So he would, if he's got a couple that are, it seems to be consistently the same issue that he's having, we'll sit down. We may watch Nicole the Math Lady again if I need a refresher or on how they did it. Or I may just review it with him on how to do the problem, or we may even review the book. So it really depends on what the issue is, on how we revisit that problem. Because I'm a big fan of actually seeing inside the curriculum, I'm going to go ahead and show you some various lessons.